Irish of Notre Dame, who look for their 9th straight win today amid another playoff push. Perfect, clear, crisp November day on campus for the final regular season home game of the year. That means senior day. Notre Dame head coach Marcus Freeman among those set to greet the players on the field. That means savoring all those indelible moments. The trip down those stairs, the tapping of that iconic sign. Maybe one last time, which leads them on the field. The intro's already underway. Most of the 32 players having just made that emotional walk, greeted by family, friends, and loved ones on the field. So we're going to join it live for the final few intros on Senior Day 2025. So defensive lineman Jordan Botello in his 6th year, a long way from his home in Honolulu, playing his 61st career game. And part of that electric running back duo, Jadarian Price. No one more proud of Price than his mom, Jessica. And then there's Will Pauling. So much respect for Will, the wide receiver, that he was voted a captain in his first year at Notre Dame after coming in as a transfer. Billy Scrouth, not exactly the way the offensive lineman wanted to come out, still out with a knee injury, suffered against USC, but no denying Billy Scrouth's impact through the years up front. Another one of the captains, Donovan Heinisch. His older brother, also a captain, took this same walk onto the field on senior day a few years ago. And finally, offensive right tackle Emil Wagner, another of the respected Irish captains. Wagner making his 27th start today for Notre Dame, which concluded another emotional walkout for senior day. A lot to be proud of these families. Hugs, tears of joy. Now it's time to keep the dream of another championship run alive. Kickoff between Syracuse and Notre Dame coming up next. Getting set for Syracuse and Notre Dame. Dan Hicks with Jason Garrett. Third member of our broadcast team, Zora Stevenson, with Coach Marcus Freeman.
Coach, it's senior day. Some of these guys came in with you, others just here for a year. How do you want everyone to handle the emotions of an afternoon like this?
Yeah, it's emotional. I mean, these are special players and special young people. But as I told them, you got to regain your emotions. We know it's emotional, all of us. But now it's time to go to work, and that's what I want to be able to do.
With the run that you all are on, you told us each week the challenge gets greater. What do you mean by that?
Well, I think this is a human element, that the noise around what's in the future, which is uncertain, and the noise about what type of opponent we're playing, which is bad noise. And so we got a great challenge ahead of us. This is a good football team, and we got to really focus on going out there and playing the game the way we need to know. And we know and we need to play, and if we do that, it'll take care of itself. If we don't, we're in for a dogfight.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Zora. And these are two teams going in opposite directions, Jason Garrett. While Notre Dame looks for its 9th straight win, Syracuse is on a 6-game losing streak. As you look at the second-year Syracuse head coach Fran Brown, got off to that sensational first year last year, going 10-3. A good start to this year at 3-1, but then they lost their starting quarterback, the Notre Dame transfer, Steve Angeli, in the 4th game of the season, and it's been downhill ever since.
You know, it sure has. They've lost 6 games in a row, and they haven't really even been close in these games. They're losing by a margin of greater than 3 touchdowns, so it's going to be a real challenge coming here to electric Notre Dame Stadium against a team that's won 8 straight.
Sellout crowd of more than 77,000, hoping they'll see the Irish again perhaps at Notre Dame Stadium. This the last regular season home game. Eric Schmidt is the kicker. Noah Burnett continues to nurse a hip injury as Notre Dame won the toss and deferred, so it'll be Syracuse getting the ball first. And so coming out for Syracuse will be Davion Kerr. And he gets across the 30, and good kickoff return for Kerr, who's been a part of a committee of kickoff return specialists for Syracuse. So he brings it back 36 yards in good field position for a guy that walked on as a lacrosse and football player. So Joseph Velarde gets his 2nd career start for Syracuse. It was Ricky Collins who filled in for Angeli, who ruptured that Achilles tendon in the Clemson game. Things didn't work out so well for Collins, although he did return to the lineup last week against Miami as Filardi got the start against UNC. But here is Filardi in a big spot in his first trip to South Bend, and the handoff is a loss right away for Will Nixon. Ball got loose there, but it was blown dead after a loss of 2.
Yeah, Boubacar Traore, top of your screen, just coming down the line of scrimmage, and not how Filardi wanted to start. Get him going in the running game. Traore chases it down for a tackle for loss.
And if things couldn't get any worse, the Orange are also without their leading rusher today, Yasin Willis, who was announced yesterday is out, concussion protocol, as he got knocked up in practice, and so it was a tough road game as it was, and now they're without the leading rusher, and stepping in front for the pick for Notre Dame, Jalen Stroman. Just like that for 42 yards, pick 6. So Notre Dame is without Tay Johnson today. He leads Notre Dame with 4 interceptions. He injured his hand in practice this week. So Jalen Stroman got the start, and it didn't take long for him to make his presence known.
It sure did not. And Notre Dame, one of the best teams in the country, had taken the ball away. It only took him 2 plays to pick one off and run it back in.
And Eric Schmidt makes it a quick 7-0 Notre Dame lead. And they haven't even had the ball on offense yet.
Yeah, when you get an empty formation, usually a quick throw is going to happen. Stroman has played a lot of football. The transfer from Virginia Tech, he sees the quick route coming and pounces all over it. Filardi just trying to get a quick completion early. Stroman says, He's a ball guy, catches in his hands, and the rest is history. An unbelievable start for this Irish defense.
They had a couple of pick sixes last week in the win over Pitt. It's the 18th interception of the season for Notre Dame. And there is a happy Chris Ash. The season didn't start out like that for Chris Ash and the defense, but boy, have they been on an ascent.
They sure have. It was a struggle the first 3 weeks. They were giving up 34 points a ball game, but since then it's 14. You said it, all the takeaways. That's number 20. Sacking the quarterback, they got 28 of those. They've been so disruptive. The guys up front, second level, and those guys at the back end, they know how to take the ball away.
Notre Dame is a 6-touchdown plus favorite, and 57 seconds into this game, they lead at 7-0. And this time Schmidt's kick taken by Kerr again, had a good one to start. This one not near as good, short of the 15-yard line. Time now for the progressive game flow, and we mentioned Tay Johnson and the 2 pick 6 last week. This was Tay-Tay, as they call him, with a pick 6 against Pittsburgh, one of his now 4 interceptions that leads the Irish on the season. And then Jalen Stroman, who started for Tay Johnson today, takes it right back less than a minute into the game.
Eyeballs on the quarterback. If he's late with the ball, they're going to make him pay, and they can catch it and run it in. So these plays change games, Hexie.
Disastrous start for Joe Filardi. Just trying to get something positive going. But you got Boubacar Traore and Jason Onye up front there for just a gain of 1. So there is Tay Johnson trying to punch the ball out in practice. Injured his hand. He could be back as soon as next week, though.
How about Filardi? 2 weeks ago, he gets a start against Bill Belichick, University of North Carolina. Now he has to come into Notre Dame Stadium. These are challenging situations. Put a young guy in, a walk-on quarterback and lacrosse player getting his second start. The first 3 plays have not been good.
Just a gain of 1, 2nd and 9. This is a pass complete to the near side, and the ball is loose, and Notre Dame all over it near the goal line. Looks like they're marking it down at the 15-yard line. He should be down.
Came loose. It'll be 3rd down.
There's Strowman one more time coming up and making the hit. It looks like that left hip is definitely down before the ball comes out. But when you turn the ball over or you take the ball away, sometimes it gets contagious. It's infectious all over the team. And this Notre Dame defense looking for more.
3rd down and 10 for Filardi, who in that other start against North Carolina didn't complete a pass until his 9th try. Then the pressure comes on him, and that is incomplete. 4th down and a punt coming up here for the Orange.
This is a lonely feeling for Joe Filardi. You feel like nothing's going right. You feel like they have all the answers. You get pressure from Schuler right here. I like the call by Jeff Nixon, the offensive coordinator, trying to throw a screen to his son, Will Nixon. But again, Drake Bowen all over it. And again, it's a lonely feeling when you feel like they have all the answers all around you. The game feels real fast to Filardi right now.
So here is Jack Stonehouse, who's one of the best punters in the country, and they need a good one here. That is partially blocked. And a Notre Dame player has it at the 20-yard line and streaking into the end zone for the touchdown. It looked like 28 Talich. Here is Stonehouse. The block there by Strowman.
Have a day, Strowman. Think he's ready to take advantage of his opportunity? Wow.
And Luke Talich, who also would be in the mix today because of Tay Johnson being out injured, has himself a touchdown. And the offense hasn't even hit the field yet.
I think Freeman told these guys the story of Wally Pipp, right?
Oh, my God.
No Tay Johnson today. Strowman showing up, taking advantage of his opportunity to intercept the ball. About 4 plays later, he comes back, and he blocks a punt. Tay Johnson's pretty good. Strowman saying, hey, I deserve a shot, too.
When is he going to start contributing? Sunday night, a couple of quarterbacks with some firepower and finesse get their time in the spotlight. Baker Mayfield leads the Bucs against Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Sunday, 7 Eastern time on NBC and Peacock. I know you flew across the country to have a little interview with Stafford, quarterback. You're impressed, weren't you?
I sure did. I've loved Matthew Stafford for a long, long time, but getting a chance to sit down with him, he's absolutely everything you want in your quarterback, a teammate, a dad, a friend, something else.
By the way, also shout out to Chris Collinsworth, who will be broadcasting his 500th NFL game. Amazing. Congrats.
Do the math on that one, Hicksy.
All right, so this is a touchback, and so they'll come out to the 25-yard line, and so another chance here for Filardi. It's just been a disaster so far for the 6'1", 195-pound freshman from Dix Hills, New York, getting a shot. We mentioned we talked to him earlier in the week. He seemed pretty chill about this whole first-time visit to Notre Dame. We were trying to get some sort of emotion on him. He was kind of one of those flatliners, coach, who just seemed to exalt business. But, boy, he's pretty wide-eyed right now.
He's got a steep challenge ahead of him. One play at a time here, Filardi.
2 minutes and 41 seconds in. He finds himself down 14-zip, rolling it out, skips it short. 2nd down and 10. As we take a look at the Syracuse offense, it's been an absolute carousel, as we mentioned, at quarterback. But Dan Villari is one of the bright spots at tight end that Filardi, his Long Island associate, can look forward to maybe connecting with. Joe Cruz has played every position on the offensive line for Syracuse this year, and he's needed to. It's been an absolute carousel up front as well for Syracuse, and you're going to see as many as 7 offensive linemen rotating in just because of injuries and whatnot. Here's Filardi on the move and has a pass complete to Darius Johnson, the true freshman. You're going to hear a lot of true freshmen in this lineup today for Syracuse.
Yeah, and I love this call by Jeff Nixon, the offensive coordinator. Just get him out into space, let him pick one guy and deliver a ball. It's a really good throw under duress to the true freshman Johnson. Now they have a 3rd and manageable situation here, but Notre Dame has been downhill against this Syracuse offense the entire game. This is tough sledding. Looks like they have a 3-back inverted wishbone set to start it. Now they go to empty.
And this time it's Villari who is in there on short yardage situations. A tight end gets in there to try to pick up the first down.
I love the call there too. Shift and move in motion, and then you take Villari. This guy was a big-time recruit to go play quarterback at Michigan.
Yep, there he is going right underneath the center.
Very comfortable there. The low man wins, and not a lot of movement, but he found enough to make a yard.
So something positive for Syracuse. This pass complete to Darian Williams, and he's spun around at the 40 by Stroman. Who else after a gain of 5?
Stroman is everywhere, but I like the approach by Syracuse. Get the ball out of his hands quickly. They're losing the matchups up front, both in the run game and when they try to throw it. So quick screens, move the quarterback, get some positive plays going for your young quarterback.
Second down and 6. And this time it's Tyreek Hill. And he's going to get more carries you would expect today with Yasin Willis out of the lineup. That's just a gain of 1 for Hill.
And guess who? Stroman again. Tackle for loss. I think he ate his Wheaties this morning. He is everywhere.
Will Nixon is back in there on 3rd down and 5 as Syracuse tries to keep this drive alive. Pittsburgh didn't convert a single 3rd down last week against Notre Dame. That's how good the Notre Dame defense was last week, and that's how good they've been ascending to since those first couple of games of the season. Lardy with a snap, and that pass is picked off. Leonard Moore's turn to go the distance. Unbelievable start for the Notre Dame defense.
This is the trickiest part when you're playing a young quarterback. You say, let's make some positive plays. Let's get the ball out of his hand. And now you're going to try to throw a stop route outside against Leonard Moore. And Leonard Moore is just simply too good. He's the best cover corner in the country. He's big. He's strong. He understands football. He anticipates. Florida had no chance there. He was all over it, all over Gill.
That is
he throws it anyway.
4 pick sixes in the last 2 games, and we're just 9:43 left here in the first quarter in this one.
That's 3 miscellaneous touchdowns in this game.
21-0, and Notre Dame's offense hasn't run a single play. You can't make it up. 4th interception of the year for the amazing Leonard Moore, who adds to this defensive highlight reel. For 20 years, Allstate has celebrated every field goal and extra point made at participating universities by donating to the university's athletic scholarship fund, supporting all student athletes. Thank you to Allstate. As well, thank you to McCree's Italian Bakery in downtown South Bend. It's been open since 1978, and they crank out some incredible bakery goods. 21-0. Speaking of incredible, we're 5:17 in. Notre Dame's offense has not touched the ball, and they lead by 3 touchdowns. This is Kerr again bringing out the Schmidt kick, and he's bounced back at the 20-yard line. It really does all trace back to the injury to Steve Angeli. They went 3-1. Angeli was the leading passer in the country, passing yards, before that season-ending injury in the Clemson game, which they won, but then just went downhill. Ricky Collins 0-5 as a starter. And we mentioned that Joe Filardi started the UNC game, but things didn't work out there, and now they haven't worked out here. So we've got another quarterback already in the ball game for Fran Brown, and it's Luke Carney, a freshman from Mesquite, Texas. He's been in 3 games this year, but not in a spot like this. And Will Nixon, the son of the offensive coordinator's got nowhere to go.
Pixie, I don't think I've ever seen a game start like this. You said it, 21 points. C.J. Carr, the starting quarterback, has not been on the field yet.
As you look at Angeli, boy, a crushing injury in so many ways, not just the ensuing losing streak by Syracuse, but Angeli really loved here in Notre Dame for his years here. He was a part of that quarterback competition early on with Kenny Minchie and C.J. Carr, and then when it became apparent that he wasn't going to be able to compete for the starting job, he transferred to Syracuse, got the Orange off to that incredible start, and now he's watching this unfold at a place where he used to walk on campus. And that is Luke Carney with the keeper. Gain of 6 brought down by Stroman.
Yeah, big down for Carney here. Notre Dame has been very aggressive on third downs. They're bringing people. They're playing man-to-man coverage. They're sitting on routes. I would anticipate them to do the same kind of thing to Carney here. And, you know, maybe the best call in this situation is to take a shot. Throw the ball down the field. If Notre Dame wants to sit on some routes, give him a chance to go back and find one-on-one coverage and throw a go route and try to put some air in this defense.
3rd and 4 for Luke Carney. And Nixon has nowhere to go, short of the first down. That'll bring up 4th and short after he lost one. Junior Tuihalamaka, part of the...
Yeah, we saw this. You pull the guard, you pull the tackle. We saw Traore do this on the first play of the game, and they're just chasing the play down from the side. They're not acknowledging the potential threat of the quarterback run. And again, another tackle for loss. Wow.
Dare we say we're going to see the Notre Dame offense here? Unless
you never know. Let's get this punt off first.
Stroman blocked the punt earlier.
Oh, it was close.
That one was close. A flag comes in as Faison catches it at just across the 25.
Snap, false start. Kicking team number 15. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
And that's on Syracuse. Nothing going Fran Brown's way at all.
That punt protection a little too close for comfort here. And again, Notre Dame, they've been awfully good at blocking punts over the last few years. Trust me, they're dying to get another one right here.
C.J. Carr has had to go through his entire warm-up routine again. There on the sidelines, as all he's been doing is sitting the first half quarter. This punt, Faison will watch it take a little bit of a Syracuse bounce and come to rest at the 26. So finally, at about the halfway mark of this opening quarter, we think we're going to see C.J. Carr here. A flag is on the field at about the 43-yard line. All ACC crew today, headed by the referee Mike Roche.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Kicking team, number 80. That 15-yard penalty be added to the end of the return. Be 1st down for Notre Dame. Timeout.
So, Fran Brown trying to somehow stay in this game. C.J. Carr's got to get into the game. That's news. The NBA is on NBC and Peacock. Monday nights, it's Peacock NBA Monday. Tuesdays in prime time, it's Coast to Coast Tuesday on NBC and Peacock. Syracuse has run 14 offensive plays, trails 21-0, and you're about to see the first offensive play for C.J. Carr on the Notre Dame offense. Rolling out to the right. CJ's got Faison complete for a 1st down. So 1 for 1 after a long wait for C.J. Carr, who's having one of the best seasons of any quarterback in the country. He leads the nation in average yards per pass attempts. As you see, they're at 9.68. So C.J. Carr, 1 for 1, quickly into Syracuse territory at the Orange 45. And Carr hands off to his main man, Are you kidding me? Last week, the first time he touched it, he went the distance. He goes to the house again. This time, 45 yards for Love's latest touchdown romp.
I had a little concern about the emotion of the Notre Dame offense. You're up 21 points. You haven't even taken a snap yet. No concern there. Carr comes out and delivers a strike on the naked and then hand the ball to number 4, the Heisman hopeful, Jeremiah Love.
Crazy. Love went 56 yards on another highlight reel spin for the touchdown that started the scoring against Pitt. He didn't get the first score of this game because the defense had things handled, but his first touch goes 45 yards, and Jeremiah Love's Heisman campaign continues.
Just watch the movement on the right side of this offensive line, just knocking them back. And what you want to do on defense is you want to split the ball out to the corner and see if the corner can make a tackle. But when you're trying to tackle Jeremiah Love, it's not quite so easy. Watch this guy right here. He'll take that matchup any day of the week. He's as quick as they come. He's as fast as they come. And the guy's playing with so much confidence right now. Wow, what a start for the Irish.
Coach, time to look at our players on the rise. Brought to you by Hyundai. Jeremiah Love, school rushing records that he's in touch with. We talked to him yesterday. There's the career rushing yards, 8th in that department. Career rushing touchdowns, 32 now, as he comes up with his 18th of this season. The rushing yards, these are the numbers coming into the game, so that doesn't include just the 45 that he just tacked on to that one. And again, 15 rushing touchdowns now for Love. He said, I want to leave Notre Dame with not just 1 or 2 records. I want to leave with as many as I can.
Well, he's certainly making his mark, and if you know a lot about football or know nothing about football and you watch Notre Dame play, you say number 4 is the best player on the field.
So 28 zip. Kerr runs into a bunch of blue jerseys again, tries to get it out to the 20, and that's where Syracuse's offense will have their latest try. But Jeremiah Love has just been electric. You look at those explosive rushes, second most among Power 4 running backs. He's had so many of those, and he just added to it, Zora.
Well, Dan, whether it's a spin move or a hurdle, Jeremiah Love is trying to entertain the crowd. He told me people come to watch us do amazing things, sometimes crazy stuff, spectacular stuff. He said he's having the time of his life right now at Notre Dame, and we're seeing it out there on that field.
So here's Carney, stays in there, quarterback. This is a decent gain for Tyreek Hill, who comes up with his 16th catch of the year. They're trying to work him more into the offense.
Just one more thought on Love. You can just see him intentionally working on his game. Always been a dynamic runner. We've seen these plays right from the start, but as a protector, as a receiver, and maybe most importantly, the physical nature of his game. Finishing runs and blocking, it's really showing up, and he's getting better and better every week, if you can believe that.
In what very well could be the final home game of Jeremiah Love's storied career here at Notre Dame. Deep down the sideline, that pass is incomplete. By the way, as you look at that 28-0 score, the Notre Dame historians here cannot find another game that started like this in school history.
They've run 2 plays on offense.
And they've been playing football at Notre Dame since, well, this is the 97th season of Notre Dame football in Notre Dame Stadium, home of the Irish football since 1930. So some historic things going on in the early going here against Syracuse in a 28-0 hole, still with 5:43 left. It's just nothing going on up front.
I understand what they're trying to do on Syracuse. Don't let these third downs kill you, but when you're down 28-0 and you're getting completely manhandled up front, you know, maybe throw the ball in that situation, because they have no chance of converting that 3rd and 5. This Notre Dame defensive front has been dominant.
Syracuse came in with a 6-game losing streak, and it's just gotten worse. Stonehouse and punt formation. Faison's going to let this bounce in front of him. And the ball comes to rest at about the 30-yard line for Notre Dame's latest offensive series. Took a couple plays for the offense to get on the board. Jeremiah Love. Once
the
again.
Love train.
There it is. I'll let you sing us to commercial, Coach. Notre Dame football is being brought to you by Allstate. You're in good hands. By Jersey Mike Subs. Be a sub above. And by Fireball Cinnamon Whiskey. Ignite your fandom with Fireball. Some of the scenes and images from another senior day. There's Eli Raritan getting a hug from Coach Freeman, and things could not have gone better for Notre Dame on this latest senior day. They've run 2 offensive plays and have a 28-0 lead over Syracuse. They've had the ball for 36 seconds in the time of possession versus Syracuse's 9.5 minutes. Jadarian Price giving Jeremiah Love a breather at the moment. But Carr's going to try to pass and make it 2 for 2. Not this time, as he was looking for Malachi Fields as we check in with Zora.
Well, Dan, we just saw Eli Raridan get recognized here. He was raised right here at Notre Dame. He was born while his dad, Scott, was still playing football for the Irish. Little Eli and his parents actually lived in an off-campus apartment here in South Bend for 2 years. And Raridan told me he doesn't remember those days as a baby next to Brady Quinn, but he does have a lot of memories as a kid, tailgating and going to games.
You know what would make this senior day complete for him, Zora, is to get into the end zone. He has not scored, even though he's been such a reliable target for Carr. This is Price, who just gives you that 1-2 combination right when Love takes a breather. The defense doesn't get a breather with Price.
You know, it starts up front with this Notre Dame offense. They dominate the line of scrimmage in the running game, but they have 2 elite runners. Everything well documented about Jeremiah Love, but this Jadarian Price, what a change of pace back for these guys. And talk about a guy who can find the end zone as good as anybody.
So after another first down, C.J. Carr again to Price, and he is just through the hole.
There he goes.
Okay, Love, whatever you can do, I can do. Watch out. He got caught up to there at the end as he geared down, but not before a 58-yard strike for Price.
This is what Jadarian Price does. He doesn't get that many carries in the game, but when he goes in there, he's productive. On the previous play, makes a really strong, positive run. But if you give him a crease, he's going to take it to the house. Usually it's from the red zone. That time from the logo. What a combination.
Folks, you're seeing the greatest first quarter blowout in Notre Dame football history. The 28 points already tied the Irish record for first quarter points. And they've just put on 35 with 4 minutes left.
They've run 5 offensive plays, Hicksy. And here he is, Jadarian Price. The guy has tremendous vision, tremendous change of direction. So when he gets up in here, he finds the creases. And if you're a safety, you better close fast because he's going to make you miss. The acceleration and the burst. Demetrius Samuel was coming fast. Jadarian Price knows how to finish. Again, it starts up front, he gets to the second level, and then it's over once he gets into the secondary.
So add another touchdown to the growing total for Price. That's his 10th rushing touchdown, 11th of the season. The bus likes what he sees, and so does 77,000 plus on senior day. Absolute blowout with 4 minutes left in the first quarter.
Marcus was concerned about the emotion coming off of the senior day ceremony. Doesn't really have to worry about that. Now it's just about the focus of playing and play out to finish this game the right way.
We're 11 minutes into this game, Coach.
I know.
Which brings us to our Wayfair game break with John Fanta. John, what do you got?
Good afternoon, Dan and Coach. Well, it's the showdown of the day. Top 15 matchup in Eugene, Oregon, and USC. Jordan Davison, after the Trojans went right down the field. Davison evens the score at 7 apiece. Huge implications out west.
Absolutely, John. Thank you very much. 35-0 here at sold-out Notre Dame Stadium for what could be the last home game of the season. Again, there's a college football playoff that the Irish hoping they're a part of. Filardi, by the way, is back in at quarterback for Syracuse. He started the game. Luke Carney came in. And the only other guy we haven't seen that we might see is Ricky Collins, who was the starter after the original quarterback, the transfer from Notre Dame, tore his Achilles tendon. So
yeah, all you're thinking about if you're Jeff Nixon, the offensive coordinator, is what play do I have on my sheet that can be successful? Do I have one play? Run, pass, screen, take a shot, whatever it is. We just need to get something positive going here.
Here comes the pressure. Drake throwing right in his grill.
And Chris Ash, the defensive coordinator, he's not letting off. Here's his bowling right down the pipe, and Syracuse literally has no answer for it. Talked about this being a lonely feeling when you're not running it well, you're not throwing it well, you're not protecting it well, they're sitting on your routes. It is a hard position to play.
And a beat-up Syracuse offensive line trying to plug the holes against a surging Notre Dame defense. That's almost an impossible predicament.
I bet you Buck to hand it off, Dan.
All right, where's your dollar? Here comes pressure. And that ball incomplete. 4th down.
Yeah, I like the idea. Hand it off or throw a screen. Don't make it any worse than it is. 3rd and 19 is hard to make against anybody, let alone this Notre Dame defense. And what a difference. You know, we had Notre Dame early on in the season after they lost a couple games, and a lot of pressure on that guy right there, defensive coordinator Chris Ash. And boy, he's hung with his convictions. He's got to keep working. This entire staff and defensive unit has really responded. They've become one of the best defenses in the country.
Ash said they put in the most calls, and it was the best effort of the year last week against Pitt. And an outmanned Syracuse team having a rough time here as Faison returns the punt, spins around, gets close to the 35-yard line, where Notre Dame will go to work again with C.J. Carr. They have struck early already. Not a lot of offensive plays, at least, as you take a look at the skill positions. Eli Raritan trying to get into the end zone, but Jeremiah Love already with a touchdown, as he's just been electric each and every game. And the injuries up front, Sullivan, Apsher, and Joe Otting have done a nice job filling in for Billy Scrouth and Ashton Craig, who got injured out for the season at center. So they plugged the holes when they needed to. That depth has shown up when they have needed it. And Notre Dame really hasn't missed a beat up front. Carr, pressure from the backside. Streaking down the sidelines. A nice play there on Jeremiah Love. That was Anwar Sparrow who knocked it out of Love's hands.
Notre Dame goes to empty. They take Jeremiah Love and they motion him out, and Sparrow has to adjust. Does a good job rerouting Love. Whenever you pin the receiver to the sidelines, it becomes a trick shot for the quarterback. You got to keep those releases tight and get vertically down the field.
2nd down and 10. Price, another big call, another 1st down, another big game. Actually, that's Love with the carry. And that's a game 17 for Jeremiah.
Still only their 7th play on offense. They've scored 35 points, and every one of them, except for that shot down the sidelines to Love, has been successful for them, and they're knocking on the door one more time. Denbrock doing a good job mixing it.
Thought Love was going to get loose again and take it to the house. Another 1st and 10 inside the red zone now. Carr complete. Another 1st down. Malachi Fields, who's become a huge target for Carr. Fields had the best game in a Notre Dame uniform last week against Pitt. Hauled in 7, 99 yards with a couple of circus catches as well.
And Hicksy, this is what he does. He's the boundary receiver. So oftentimes he's by himself in press coverage. He runs a lot of stop routes. What he runs here, he runs a lot of vertical routes down the field, and he runs a lot of slants. And as this season has gone on, C.J. Carr, so much confidence. When he's by himself over there, that ball's going in his direction.
Notre Dame just gashing the Syracuse defense, which is ranked 123rd in the country. On 1st and goal from the 7, Love picking out a hole. Being patient this time, down to about the 1 or 2 yard line. A gain of 5 for Love.
Just watch Jeremiah Love here, how physical he is at the end of the down. Great quickness, great acceleration, but here he is. He gets those shoulders square, and once he gets hit, he's always driving forward. He makes 3 more yards after that initial contact, and this is something, again, very intentional, working on this. For all his athleticism, he's a big, strong man, too.
2nd and goal at the 2. Is Love going to get another touchdown? Close, just short of the goal line, bring up 3rd and goal.
You know, and this is something that's been an issue for Notre Dame. For all their success on offense, the one area has been short yardage. And in certain cases, happened again last week, they've done some sprint out type stuff. I would anticipate them letting that big offensive line and the best runner in the country run it right down Syracuse's throat as we get into the second quarter.
End of the quarter as Notre Dame has an historic first 15 minutes. Pick sixes. We've got all sorts of things going Notre Dame's way on senior day. Bottom line is 15 minutes in, it's 35-0. Overcast Saturday here at Notre Dame Stadium now. Aerial coverage brought to you by T-Mobile. End of the first quarter. Notre Dame in an historic first quarter. 2 pick sixes, a punt block for a touchdown. 2 are the scores. I mean, this is almost a perfect football game for Notre Dame.
Hicksy, I've never seen anything like this. They've scored 35 points and they've run 7 offensive plays, and it started on defense. You know, Jalen Stroman gets a start for Tay Johnson. Second play of the game, interception for a touchdown. The guy turns around, he blocks a punt. He's knocking balls out. They've just been absolutely dominant. So a great lesson if you're a head coach. Talk about a guy who's ready for his opportunity, and he pounces all over it. The guy set the pace for this Notre Dame team right from the start.
And they're on the goal line here, 3rd and goal. There's Jeremiah Love, set to maybe going for another score before flags came in.
Delay of game on the defense for disconcerting signals and movements. Number 4. Half the distance to the goal. Number 3.
Disconcerting. Signals. It's already disconcerting for Fran Brown.
It's incredibly disconcerting for Fran Brown.
So here we go again. Just on the doorstep here. There's Eli Rareland in motion, and the orange come across. They say they were drawn off.
False start. Offense, number 75.
And that's Sullivan Absher,
3rd down.
who moved prematurely.
It's what defenses do down there. They call it stemming the front. They try to move abruptly. You're obviously not allowed to do disconcerting things like clap or yell or whatever to simulate a snap count, but Notre Dame getting a little antsy with all that Syracuse movement.
Ball backed up outside the 5 now. 3rd and goal. Carr's going to roll out. Touchdown, Will Pauling. So everybody getting in the act. A little quiet in the last couple of games for Will Pauling. Just a couple of receptions, or just 5 receptions in the last 2 games before he gets his first one here for a touchdown.
Yeah, just too easy. This is sprint right Z option. There's an old West Coast offense play. Notre Dame loves it. And when C.J. Carr looks up and he sees Will Pauling by himself with a defender inside of him, he's going to run up and run out and put it on his face mask. Too easy.
And Schmidt to make it 42-0. 4 seconds in to the second quarter. Well, if you're really feeling the magic on the field right now, as Notre Dame is, hold on to your hats. Wicked is about to reach its epic conclusion. Wicked for Good, rated PG, in theaters now.
I was on the edge of my seat in the first Wicked.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Fantastic, wasn't it?
I'm all set to go with the family on Thanksgiving.
Let's go.
Lots of green in this Notre Dame Stadium on senior day. Push-ups could get a little out of hand today with a score of 42-0.
Yeah, I hope they had their protein bars, because a lot of push-ups.
Notre Dame on its way, it's crazy to say it, but on its way to its 9th straight win. 4 seconds into the second quarter. Syracuse has been no match. We were wondering what we were going to see from the Orange today. Obviously, Coach Fran Brown in his 2nd year. We mentioned the good start he had last year. Things started going downhill, and when we talked to him earlier in the week, he said, you know what, I'm kind of turning this team over to the young guys, the freshmen. And so we're seeing a lot of them today. We've seen a lot of them in the last few weeks. And it's almost like he's turning the page pretty early get into more of that as we go on. As you take a look at this Notre Dame defense, in this wicked theme, you're going to be popular. First 3 games, not so popular as they let a lot of points up. Chris Ash's defense did, but then they got a little more popular. The last 7 games, they have been on a streak. As you take a look at that defense, which has totally turned things around for Notre Dame. It's really, really helped. For the second game of the season through the Pitt game last week, the Notre Dame defense has allowed just an average of 14 points a game. They have not given up anything today thus far. As here is Velarde, and he's got some wheels close to the first down marker.
Yeah, if you look at this Notre Dame defense, as you mentioned, Hicksy, they struggled early the first 3 games. They were one of the best defenses in the country. Al Golden goes to be the defensive coordinator of the Bengals. Chris Ash comes in.
And this is Hill just getting decked. Don Schuler, who's been so active in this defensive resurgence for the Irish.
Watch him right here just getting downhill and making the tackle for loss, and this is what he does. He sees a hole and he's going to go make that play. Very instinctive guy, very physical, and puts Syracuse in a kind of an iffy 3rd and 1 situation. Nothing's been easy for them.
Don Schuler, had a nice conversation with him yesterday. He says it's always somebody's Super Bowl against us, as we were talking about Syracuse coming in here, but Notre Dame has proved they've just got too much firepower on this day. So a first down there for Syracuse as Will Nixon picks it up. Boubacar Traore on the tackle. As you look at Fran Brown, he's his own kind of coach, right? He says, I'm going to be who I am. He's been known as one of the elite recruiters in the country. This is his first head coaching job. He's been around a little bit. He was on the Georgia staff as well, but that is the strength of his coaching, really, is the way he can recruit and get his kids to believe in his culture that he's building. More pressure, and this was almost picked off. That was Devontae Smith, who's continuing to get healthier by the day.
Devontae's been really active since he's gotten healthy and back in this lineup, playing that nickel position, the cover guy inside, and he's just a very instinctive player. He's always around the ball. 4 years at Alabama before coming here to Notre Dame.
Yeah, Ash and even Freeman was telling us, you know, we haven't had everybody there, especially when you look at those 3 guys, Christian Gray, Leonard Moore, Devontae Smith. This is just the 4th game that we've had all 3 of those guys on the field healthy. Second down and 10. This is Velarde stringing it out to the right. 3rd and 10.
You know, back to Fran Brown, the head coach at Syracuse, and you mentioned a great recruiter. You talk to anybody in college football, elite recruiter. Amazing the impact he's had at the different stops at Georgia, at Temple, some of the places where he's coached, and he's a very relational guy. He develops relationships with recruits, players on his team. That's his strength as a coach, and he got it going last year. 10-3. Kyle McCord was their quarterback, led the nation in passing, off to a really good start this year, but the wheels have come off, and he's playing a lot of young guys, and it's not easy for these guys coming into Notre Dame Stadium, again, against one of the best defenses in the country.
3rd and long, and a timeout called just as the play clock was going down to 0. Notre Dame calls a timeout, leading 42-0. Beautiful look inside the Basilica here on the campus of Notre Dame.
John Fanta checking in with a Wayfair game break. Down to Austin, Texas, trying to keep their faint playoff hopes alive. How about Razzle Dazzle? The Horn Special. Parker Livingstone finds Arch Manning. Manning in for a receiving touchdown. Horns with A&M next week, trying to handle business today.
All Notre Dame here, John. 42-0. Syracuse faced with a 3rd down and 10 situation here. And Velarde goes to Velarde, his Long Island man, 6'4", 245 pounds. Talking to Velarde, he says, we go back a long way. Remember these guys? Remember them playing a little junior football back in the day on the island.
Yeah, man-to-man cover, just throw some rub routes across the field, get to Velarde, picking up the first, a big one for the Orangemen.
Trying to get something going here. That is Jaden Hart with his first carry of the game. 5'11" sophomore from Michigan City, Indiana.
Notre Dame loves playing man-to-man coverage, really in any down and distance. So you get those rub routes going, you give yourself a chance. And really one of the first positive plays that Syracuse has had against this Notre Dame defense. And the improvement that the Irish have made on defense since those first 3 weeks, pretty darn remarkable. And they're playing with a ton of confidence right now.
Saw Chris Ash. His family's still down in Florida. He says he hasn't seen them since the bye week. It's been a long time, and a big commitment here to Notre Dame. And he's done a heck of a job here. There's Traore wrapping up Filardi. So it's a commitment. It's a lot, you know, sacrifices that are made. There is Ash, Alexis, Brady, his children. So you do sacrifice a lot to get into this coaching game, as Ash's last job was with the Jacksonville Jaguars of the NFL, and his family's still stationed down there in Florida as he gets back into college coaching here as a defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, taking over for Al Golden. Syracuse at the Notre Dame 49-yard line. 3rd and 10. Filardi trying to pick up the first down. Goes again to Villari. So Filardi to Villari, the Long Island connection again.
Yeah, pressure one more time by Notre Dame, and he finds Villari by himself. And, you know, if I'm Fran Brown, this is certainly a go-for-it situation. 4th and 3. Your best drive you've had all game long. But, you know, back to Ash, you know, really really impressed by his conviction early on. He wasn't going to waver about what they needed to do as a defense. They just kind of worked through it. They got some guys back, some young guys developed. Pretty darn good. Now they got a 4th down. Looks like they're coming one more time.
Filardi rolling out to the left, tries to go to the tight end. He'll be short of the first down, and Jalen Stroman prevented it from happening.
Yeah, I love the call. They pressure him. They play man-to-man coverage, and talk about a guy who's taking advantage of his opportunity. Jalen Stroman one more time on Villari, making a textbook tackle and getting off the field.
After an historic first quarter where the Irish led 35-0, most points they'd ever had in the first 15 minutes of a Notre Dame football game, they've added another one, 42-zip, as you look at Fran Brown, who in his opening press conference, taken over as the head coach of Syracuse last year, said, "I watched other teams in the ACC a few years ago win national championships here, so it's going to happen here." So through it all, Fran Brown is unfazed and unwavering in his commitment, that's saying he's going to bring championship football to Syracuse.
Yeah, there is no question about his conviction about what they're doing here at Syracuse. And the best head coaches I've been around, that's what they have.
So Notre Dame taking over here on downs, and Jeremiah Love skirts through for another big game and a first down.
And, you know, it's easy to have conviction when things are going well. When you're 10-3, you win the Holiday Bowl, and hee-hee-ha-ha, and they start off 3-1, but now you've lost 6 in a row, and that's when you use the word unwavering. That's when you start to waver. That's when you start to question. But you talk to Fran Brown for 5 minutes, you know that that's not what he is all about.
He said everybody told him, you've got to be a coordinator before you could become a head coach. Well, he bypassed that, became a head coach at Syracuse. After not having that title of coordinator, there's another gain for Jeremiah Love, who continues to rack up yards, another 5 for him.
You know, we're all shaped by our upbringing. You know, Camden, New Jersey, rough upbringing. You talk to guys who have been around him, Matt Rule, Will Muschamp, self-made guy, tough as nails. That's how they describe him. So losing a few games in a row as a head coach at Syracuse, again, doesn't faze him. He believes what he believes. He's going to be who he is.
2nd down and 5 now after the gain by Love. And CJ firing at the 30, complete. Micah Gilbert is wrestled out of bounds as a late flag comes in. Gain of 12 at the moment. We'll see what the flag tells us.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 13. Felt to be forced half the distance to the goal, first down.
Yeah, just at the end of the down, clearly that left hand gets in his face. Gilbert's hand
correction. The face mask was on number 3 of the defense.
Yeah, kind of went both
Singleton.
ways there, but they always call it on the defense, don't they?
When it's not going your way, it's not going your way. It's been one of those games, even though Fran Brown was a 36.5-point underdog coming into this game. Notre Dame now set up at the 14-yard line. Here's Jeremiah Love looking for his latest touchdown. You bet. This time, 14 yards for the score for Love.
Every time you hand this guy the ball, he does something special. It's just a pretty simple play. Again, they're dominating the line of scrimmage, knocking him off the ball. But, you know, Love just has great quickness to get to the edge. He finds the crease. And if you get a blue shirt on a white shirt, there's no way he's going to let anybody take him down. Excellent job by Raritan. Outside, the receivers are blocking. Love knows how to find the end zone.
And Love's got himself his 6th 100-yard game already with almost 9 minutes left in the opening half. 7 carries, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. I know Syracuse has been having some problems, but if this isn't a Heisman type of day unfolding for Love, I don't know what is.
Time for another Wayfair game break. When life gives you lemons, try a double pass. Makai Lemon making lemonade with his arm, his 2nd career completion to new kind. What a catch for the score. USC and Oregon aren't even, Dan and Jason.
Thank you, John. 49 zip here, Notre Dame. They've already scored the most points in history in the first quarter, and they've already, with almost 9 minutes left in the opening half, have eclipsed the most points in a half since 1973 when they were up on Georgia Tech 45 points. So Syracuse just watching things get away early on the pick sixes and the punt block. Let's check in with Zora.
Dan, let's go back to Steve Angeli. He told me there's a lot of emotions for him today as he returns to Notre Dame. Angeli said, those are my guys. I mean, pregame, he was with players and staff. Coach Freeman said, I would love to see him and hug him because I care about him. And Coach did just that. There it is. Angeli added the relationships, they never go away. His goal is to be ready and healthy for Syracuse's 2026 season.
It was crushing, Zora, and it was a parade of hugs for Steve Angeli, who's, as we mentioned earlier, very well respected here among the Notre Dame coaching staff and players. So here's Filardi beginning this drive at the 25. And a first down there by Will Nixon.
Yeah, you know why he's respected by everybody, Hicksy, is because every time he had an opportunity at Notre Dame as a backup quarterback, he came up big, and he had opportunities to start a game. The Sun Bowl a couple years ago was the player of the game, and the big moment came last year in the playoffs. Before the half, he goes in against Penn State and leads a drive to get a field goal. So, you know, when you're a teammate of a guy like that who's always ready and then takes advantage of his opportunities, that respect is instant. And you saw what he did in the first 4 games at Syracuse. He's a really good football player.
Nixon just short of the first down, now trying to pick it up as Filardi was blocking out there. Threw a nice block on Tui Alamaka to pick up the first down. Gain of 6.
Yeah, you know, we were here in the spring. You know, the big scrimmage at the end of spring. You know, the quarterback battle, it was in the balance. We talked to Marcus Freeman. He said this game is big for these guys. Kenny Minchie, C.J. Carr, and Steve Angeli, they all got equal reps. They came out of it. They made their decision to go forward with C.J. Carr and Minchie in training camp, and Angeli left, but he was right there. You could make a compelling argument that he should have been the quarterback for Notre Dame. He had played that well.
Yeah, Angeli was biding his time even last year when they brought in Riley Leonard for a year from Duke. Good open field tackle there by Devontae Smith. Loss of 3.
Devontae Smith means so much to this defense, and again, injured in and out throughout the season, but you see why they like him so much. He's right on the right side of your screen. Just very aggressive, very instinctive, saw the screen coming and attacked it and made the play.
So the loss, second down at 13 for Filardi against an unbending Ash defense. It's Angeli, who hopes to be back in the spring But you just feel for a guy like that who just had waited and waited for this shot, had it going at Syracuse, and now watching where he used to play football and watching it just come crushing down on his orange team.
Yeah, but we've gotten to know him through the years, and here's a couple things that jump out. He's a really smart guy. He loves football, and he's tough. He's Jersey tough. And again, regardless of what circumstances happened to him at Notre Dame, he was always ready and played well. And his mindset, mentality, dealing with this injury, he's going to take the same approach. He's going to come back, and he's going to be a really good player for the Syracuse program.
Then obviously Fran Brown said he is QB1. It's Steve Angeli's team. See about him coming back from a devastating injury that takes 10 months at least to come back from, and Angeli saying he's a good couple of weeks ahead of schedule. So hopefully Angeli gets another shot next season as Fran Brown continues to try and build his kind of team, his kind of culture. Second down and long. Filardi to the air, incomplete. Third and long as he wanted Jonte Cook, junior out of DeSoto, Texas.
Yeah, DeSoto, a lot of good football in DeSoto through the years. Vaughn Miller came out of DeSoto High School, and Claude Mathis, the head coach down there, been really, really good. They got 8 players from DeSoto who are in the National Football League right now. Can you imagine that?
Cook, the leading receiver for Syracuse, former 5-star recruit, transferred after a couple of seasons at Texas. Trying to make a name for himself at Syracuse. Nowhere to go. 3rd and 13 turns into 4th and 15. Bryce Young was there. Jay Nosberry, Donovan Heinisch, the 3rd Notre Dame sack of the day.
Yeah, you said it. It's just really challenging. Here's Bryce Young right there, just pushing inside. They bring Osbury, and you look at Filardi. First thing he does is he sees that rush, his eyes come down and start moving around in the pocket. When you're inexperienced, it feels like it's New Year's Eve in Times Square at midnight. Tough position.
Stonehouse's latest punt. Faison has a chance to take this back and quickly goes down at the 23-yard line. 6:01 left. Notre Dame up 49-zip, back in 60 seconds. So Notre Dame taking over here again at the 23-yard line. C.J. Carr on the Notre Dame offense. It's 6:01 left in the opening half. It's been all Irish. Jadarian Price behind C.J. Carr, 20-year-old redshirt freshman. And he gives it to Price. Price looking for a hole. Not much there for the first time today. Price is brought back for a loss. Well, C.J. Carr penned an emotional piece about his late brother Chad in a Players Tribune article earlier this week. Chad passed away at the age of 5 from pediatric brain cancer. C.J. was just 10 at the time. C.J. has not talked a lot about it in detail, but he said with the 10-year anniversary of his little brother's death coming tomorrow, he said he felt it was the right time to say some things. And he sprinkled a lot of great things throughout the article. Obviously some heavy emotion as you look at Chad, his late brother there. There's Tommy, who just committed to Michigan this week as a quarterback. And there's the tattoo in memory of Chad on the wrist of C.J. Carr. He said it was very difficult to do, but he said it just felt right. It was the right time to do it. He wanted to highlight to everybody out there the kind of person that his young brother Chad was. It was unbelievable. C.J. will go down this time, sacked. But if you have not read the article,
read it.
Take some time to read it. He talks about his parents. They bought a dog at the time to kind of take the distraction away from the brain cancer that Chad was fighting. There's his mother, Tammy, who's obviously a big part of Chad's life. His dad, Jason, who taught him the game of football. But you spend just a few minutes with C.J. Carr and you're impressed. You read that article, you become even more impressed with the kind of person he is. So James Rendell with his first punt of the day. Demetrius Samuel, the 17-year-old freshman, calling for the fair catch after a punt of 51 yards.
It's an absolutely heartbreaking story that C.J. Carr shared, but it was amazing strength for him to be able to write that article in such a way where you got a glimpse into what Chad, his brother, was all about and his impact. He lived till he was 5 years old, and the impact that he made was significant on his family and far beyond. And you got a glimpse into what C.J. Carr and his family background is all about, and the perspective. And the interesting part of the story is Chad and his brother Tommy, C.J. and his brother Tommy are great athletes. Michigan quarterback, Notre Dame quarterback, and Chad, younger brother, was not really into sports, was always going against the grain. And his family, Lloyd Carr is their grandfather, big Michigan family, everybody rooting for the Wolverines. Chad, the youngster, I'm not really a Michigan fan. Was always going against the grain. And one of the things that really makes you break down as you're reading the article is, you know, the realization that C.J. thinks that Chad would be proud of his decision to go against the grain and not go to Michigan.
That's
and
right.
Come to Notre Dame. He said he'd be the first one from this Michigan family wearing all the Notre Dame gear and cheering them on. And, you know, the lessons that you can learn from a 5-year-old in that situation that you carry through life and impact you and so many others, pretty amazing. And for him to be able to articulate all that, I'll tell you what, I get goosebumps.
An emotional week, not only with C.J. coming out with that article, but then his brother Tommy committing to Michigan after he originally committed to Miami of Ohio. But Tommy's had a really good senior year and was able to get his dream commitment to go to Michigan. That was a dream for Tommy, and so C.J. was all smiles knowing that Tommy went to the same high school, obviously, as C.J., having that good senior season. They came up a little short in the playoffs.
Yeah, 8 miles from Michigan Stadium, 8 miles from the big house.
And there is the Carr family, the grandfather Lloyd, his dad Jason, he says, who still talks to him every week about the job he's done on the field. He looks forward to those sessions that he has with his dad, who taught him to play football. The Carr family, exceptional group of people.
If you have not read the article, read it.
3rd and 7 on the run.
Your life.
Incomplete for Syracuse. A flag comes in late.
Please read the article. It'll impact your life and tell you a lot about C.J. Carr and what he's all about.
Pass interference, defense number 6. Ball be placed in the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
That's on Christian Gray, cornerback for Notre Dame. Freeman will tell you he has his own meetings with C.J. Carr every Sunday night, right? They talk about football, yeah, but he says, you know, just as much or even more so, we talk about life. How's it going, C.J.? How you doing? And he says that he just is left after each and every one of those meetings personally a better guy by talking to a guy like C.J. Carr.
It's amazing his maturity and his perspective on life beyond his years.
Jared Dawson with a stop on Jaden Hart that time. You know, and Marcus Freeman, you know, you come to practice every week, right? And he said he got to practice on Wednesday. And a member of the Notre Dame football staff shared with Marcus Freeman a story that unfolded in the Pittsburgh game last week. There was a 3rd grader named JJ. Marcus didn't know him, heard about the story. JJ went to his first Notre Dame football game at Pitt last week. Tragic story. His father passed away at the game, and it overtook Freeman so much that as he went to practice on Wednesday, he said, you know what, I feel like I need to share this with the team. And he shared the story with the team. And again, as we talked about C.J. Carr, it was about keeping everything in perspective. Felt the team needed to hear it. He told the story. And that's the kind of football coach that Marcus Freeman is.
You know, being a head coach has a lot to do with football. Schemes you run, X's and O's, has a lot more to do with being a leader. Marcus Freeman, something else.
Nicole Auerbach, if you were on the college football playoff committee, what would you be thinking right now? I would be thinking that this is what I had in mind when I said style points. I feel pretty good that I had them in my bracket this week, too.
The resume versus Miami we'll discuss in the All-State halftime report. Dan?
Thanks, Ahmed. Yep, that is food for thought as we get down to the tail end of this season, as Notre Dame looking to do what they did last year. Had an early loss to Northern Illinois, then they ran the table. They lost the first 2 games this year, and then are working on an 8-game winning streak, which will surely go to 9 after this victory over Syracuse, as Filardi finds Darryl Gill. If Notre Dame wins out, they are not only likely in the playoff, you would think, but there's a good chance, Coach, teams ahead of them lose with conference championship games on the horizon, and that could very well put Notre Dame hosting a first-round playoff game like they did last year. That pass broken up at the sidelines.
Pixie, Notre Dame lost to Miami by 3. They lost to Texas A&M by 1. First 2 weeks of the season. Since then, they've won 8 in a row. They're going to win 9. They're winning these games by 25 or more points. They've been dominant. We did this last year after the Northern Illinois loss. They went on the same kind of run. So they're certainly going to be in this mix of 12. And like you said, depending on what happens elsewhere, they might host another home game here at Notre Dame Stadium.
Second down. That's Jaden Hart getting nowhere for Syracuse. Gain of 1 will give it.
You know, I was around Nick Saban for 2 years. I was his quarterback coach when he was with the Dolphins. And if I heard him say once, I heard him say 1,000 times, don't look at the scoreboard. One play at a time. Dominate your opponent. And each of the head coaches and their staff are saying the same thing. If you're down 49-0, don't look at the scoreboard. Play this play. And certainly on the other side when you're up by 49. So that's what the coaches are evaluating right now. Execute this play. Play with that kind of intensity.
Filardi, who was pulled after a series earlier, gets pulled down at the 30-yard line by Drake Bowen.
Yeah, certainly going for it here on 4th down on the fringe of field goal range. The best plays Syracuse have had so far in this game are Filardi extending the play. And you see, hey, how about that? Fran Brown going against the grain here, wants to kick a field goal and get rid of that goose egg.
It's with the final seconds ticking off of the first half here.
You better hurry up.
Yeah, this is Trent Woody in.
He's got a timeout if he wants to take it.
For what would be a 48-yarder. Play clock down to 0. And
Syracuse takes its second time out of that.
And they took a timeout just before the play clock expired. So with that, let's see who's going above the rest. Brought to you by Jersey Mike Subs.
Nothing like Jersey Mike's and nothing like the performance of this guy right here, Jalen Stroman. The transfer from Virginia Tech got an opportunity. Tay Johnson out. Stroman says, I can play too. Interceptions, tackles for losses. He's blocking punts. You remember Wally Pipp? You know who Wally Pipp is, Hicksy?
Yes, I do.
He's the guy that started for the Yankees before Lou Gehrig. Wally Pipp had a headache. Got hit in batting practice, took the day off. 13 years later, Lou Gehrig was still playing first base. And I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but talk about a guy who was ready for his opportunity and pounced all over it. Inspiration to his teammates.
It's the kind of Wally Pipp deep dive that you happen to take with 9 seconds left of the score.
Got hit
49 zip in the first half.
Head in batting practice. That's what caused the headache.
Well, here is Trip Woody again. After a timeout was called. Syracuse trying to get on the board from 48 yards. It's a little bit of a low hanger, and it's no good.
Coach Madden would call that a doink.
Bumped off the left upright. It never looked like it was going to get there. Yeah. But then at the end, if it got a bounce, it might have had 3.
It kind of came out flat, going, and boy, did it hit it square. Not the sound you want to hear if you're kicking the ball.
Boom. Trip Woody. Career-long 49, so that was just about at that same yardage. Hit a 49-yarder earlier in better days for Syracuse when they beat Clemson. That seems like a long, long time ago.
3 lifetimes ago.
Yep.
I say they should take a knee here, Hicksy. What do you say?
Yeah, what are you going to accomplish? 4 seconds up, 49 zip. So that is the way this historic first half will end. Most points ever in the first quarter for Notre Dame with 35. 49, as long as records have been being kept since 1973, is the largest total at halftime for a Notre Dame football team. So the Irish, just 30 minutes away, you would presume, from a 9th straight victory. And oh, by the way, they're going to get the second half kickoff. Zora is with Coach Freeman.
Coach, you all scored 3 touchdowns before the offense even got the ball. How'd that set the tone?
Yeah, it's a good way to start the game. I don't know if I've ever been a part of a game like that. But they were executing, right? That's a result of execution. That's what I'm going to tell them. It's not luck. It's you being in the right place to capitalize off that opportunity. So I'm glad the way we started, and we've continued to play pretty well on both sides of the ball.
How do you plan to manage the second half?
It doesn't matter who's on the field. We have a standard that we believe we got to make sure we uphold. And so we're going to come out with our guys, and then we'll see what the game entails. Like, the future's uncertain, I'm going to say that. But if we do have an opportunity to get some other guys on the field, the standard's been set, and we got to make sure we uphold that.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Zora. It seems up 49-0. They'll have plenty of opportunities to see some other players on the senior day in South Bend. Irish in complete control. Halftime coming up. This first half recap is brought to you by Geico.
Stand back, give me room. I'm doing my
It feels good to Geico. And it feels good if you're a Notre Dame fan. They got out of the gate today in historic fashion as we get ready to start the second half, 49-0. As it's time now for our college football bulletin, brought to you by Genesis Motor America. It was all Notre Dame. The defense got 2 pick six. They got a block punt, which turned into a touchdown by Luke Talich. And it just was an avalanche after that. Jeremiah Love has another couple of touchdowns, 101 yards rushing, his 6th 100-yard plus rushing effort of the year. And the quarterback comparison, well, Joseph Filardi in just his 2nd start for Syracuse had some rough times, got things together a little bit, but 2 costly interceptions that turned into touchdowns. As a beautiful evening has ensued here in South Bend. Beautiful sunset over the Golden Dome. As we get started here in the second half, Jadarian Price lets it sail into the end zone as we check in with Zora.
Well, Coach, we know that Coach Fran Brown talks a lot about building for the future, and that message is still the case at halftime. He told his guys, there's no point in staying mad. Let's have some fun out there. He said he's never been a part of a game where it's 21-0, and the defense hasn't even taken the field yet. Coach told me he's going to watch this film over and over again. And as for personnel, no surprise here, guys. Expect a lot of freshmen to play in this second half for Syracuse.
I don't know, Coach. Would you want to watch this one over and over again?
Yeah, I get his point, but you might want to throw this one away. Hicksy, don't ever let anybody tell you it's all about time of possession. Notre Dame had it for 7 minutes in the first half. They scored 49.
All of those defensive touchdowns. Carr goes to work, and a nice grab there by Jordan Faison. He had just 1 catch last week, so Faison gets into the act, gain of 7.
Yeah, this look from above brought to you by Walmart. I just want you to watch these running backs, and it starts up front. This Notre Dame offensive line dominating, but when you give number 4 the ball, he's going to finish these plays. They're going fast now.
This ball incomplete as Carr wanted Faison again.
Yeah, when you watch them play in the first half, it's how they want to play, obviously, on offense. Control the line of scrimmage, run it with Jadarian Price and the Heisman hopeful Jeremiah Love. And you control the line of scrimmage, you give those guys some space. They block well on the perimeter, and they make a ton of big runs. And that's why you can have the ball for 7 minutes and score 49. That and a few miscellaneous touchdowns.
Something that we have never seen before in the history of Notre Dame football, the way the Irish came out scoring. And here is Love. Is he going to go again? Just trying to catch him. And Jeremiah Love has himself another long one. 68 yards this time. Touchdown number 3 of the game.
Just keep handing this guy the ball. He's dynamic. And it starts up front, dominant on the line of scrimmage. But if you give these guys a crease, they're going to take it to the house. And there were a couple Syracuse defenders who had an angle, but he's just too fast, has too much juice. And wow, we're lining up to kick the 56th point of the ball game, Hicksy.
And Jeremiah Love is lining up to chase down another record, single season rushing record. He's now got 169 yards for the game with that 68-yard romp. 3rd touchdown of the game.
This is what they do here. It's stretch and cut. He's going to come this way, and then he's going to get north and south. And the guys up front doing a heck of a job. Joe Otting, the center, moving people by. They block well on the backside. When he gets to the second level, you're just simply not going to tackle this guy in space. You know, there's an old Gale Sayers, I need 18 inches of daylight. That's all I need, and that's all Jeremiah Love needs. You give him a crease, he's going to make you pay. He did it one more time, and I absolutely love the pose.
There we go.
Yes, sir. I love this. Gerby Lambert doing the love signal.
You got to strike that balance, right? I mean, Jeremiah Love is such a humble guy, but at the same time, you got to promote yourself a little bit in this Heisman race. It is a race that he says is important to him. He wants to get that first Heisman Trophy in the Notre Dame trophy case since Tim Brown got the last one in 1987. So it's been a minute since Notre Dame has had a Heisman Trophy winner. And with 169 yards, he's making a case today. This is Marcello Diamete kicking off for Notre Dame.
Hicksy, I had the great fortune of playing with Emmitt Smith for 8 years, and there's a big story that when he was a rookie, he wrote on an index card, said, I want to be the leading rusher in National Football League history. And that's a big statement. And it turns out after 13 years, Emmitt Smith was able to accomplish that. He rushed for 18,000 yards. It reminds me of Love's approach this year. He was very clear with us. I want to rush for 1,400 plus yards. I want to accomplish this. I want to have this record. And he's been very intentional in his approach. And what that has led to is him being intentional and improving in every way as a football player. And we see it on display every Saturday afternoon.
So here is Syracuse, and this is Will Nixon with a pretty good gain. Mentioned Jeremiah Love inching his way up the single season rushing mark. Vegas Ferguson has the record set back in 1979. It was 1,437 yards. And Jeremiah Love is now moved within 133 yards of that all-time mark by Vegas Ferguson. 2nd down and 2 for the Orange. Gallardi's still in there. Whistles come in, and a flag is down.
You know, it's not like they're wearing him out, handing the ball. He's got 8 carries in this game for 171 yards.
That's true.
Offense, number 78, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
But a lot of people, if you're a Notre Dame fan and you're pumping the Heisman candidacy of Jeremiah Love, will tell you, he's done it so efficiently. And he's put up these signature-like runs, these long touchdown runs, not just today where it's been pretty easy for him, but throughout the course of the year, he's put up, the big spin move, the one against Navy, the one where he spins over a player. I mean, he's got all that kind of spectacular ability that you look for in a Heisman guy, right?
No doubt. And he splits the opportunities with Jadarian Price, who has such an impact as well. And, and this is what he has done ever since we first started seeing him last year, hurdling a guy, running into the end zone. This is the playoff game against Indiana, coming out of the end zone, and you're simply not going to catch this guy when he gets into space. And how about this one? This might be his best.
There it is.
Navy thinks they got him down. He gets back up and keeps going. And how many times have we seen that image of him running into the end zone and a whole team of people on defense chasing him there.
Those are, whoa, a little juggling act there by Filardi. He's able to get the ball, but he's going to lose some more yardage. And Love was telling us, you heard Zora talk about how Jeremiah says, hey, you know, we're entertainers. I'm out here to entertain. He says, I don't get as many opportunities at that hurdling highlight that I made famous. He goes, yeah, that's my signature move, but guys are kind of onto that.
Yeah, I think they're on to him.
He gets up to him, and they kind of stay in their tracks.
Yeah.
They don't go low because they know that he can jump over you.
So now he just runs by them,
so now he
runs
just runs
over
by
them, or spins around them.
And you were talking about this aggressive mode that Love has developed as a running back. It's not all just wild runs and great runs. As this pass is incomplete, more flags come in. Love can be an aggressor when he has to as well.
Well, we've seen it in his personality, talking to him over the last couple of years, and you certainly see it in his play. I keep using this word.
Pass interference, defense number 7. Ball be placed in the spot of the foul, automatic. First down.
It's going to be on Christian Gray, and I think it's a good call. But, you know, Love has become so intentional in everything that he does, how he practices, how he wants to, you know, make his game more well-rounded. His personality, he's stronger. He comes into our meeting, his shoulders are back. He's got a lot of confidence in himself, both on and off the field, and you see it in his play, and he wants to be a great one. His teammates see that, and they all rally around him.
1st and 10 for the Orange. With that call on Christian Gray, this is Filardi losing more yardage. Boubacar Traore has been living in the backfield second half of this season pretty much.
Yeah, this is tough sledding for Filardi. Chris Ash continues to dial up pressure on the outside, and Syracuse just does not have an answer. And every time Filardi looks up, there's a guy in his face, and it's another tackle for loss. And you get in these long down and distance situations, it becomes hard.
You know, we mentioned Filardi being a lacrosse player. He knows Jordan Faison's little brother Dylan, very familiar with him as they played lacrosse back in the day. Dylan on his way to Notre Dame, Jordan's younger brother, to play lacrosse, perhaps football as well. More pressure on Filardi, just a nightmare going on for him right now. Jared Dawson was there. That's the 12th tackle for a loss by the Notre Dame defense in this game.
Yeah, this is Dawson right here, and these guys get an opportunity when you're up by 56. Getting those track stances, rush up the field. Excellent get off by Dawson. Looking for opportunity for more playing time. You know, rotating a lot of different guys on that defensive line, taking advantage of his opportunity.
3rd and a mile now for Fran Brown's offense.
Screen or draw here, Hicksy?
I go draw. Let's run.
There you go.
There we go. Filardi diving for a good game, but well short of the first down. Gain of 9.
You know, Fran Brown said he's going to watch this tape closely. And when you're building the program like he is, despite the 10-3 last year, he is building this program. He is a new head coach trying to lay a foundation. It's about having guys who are competitive, mentally tough regardless of what the circumstances are. So the Nick Saban line, don't look at that scoreboard, play this play. That's what he's looking for, and that's the kind of foundation you want to build going forward.
Now we're already seeing some substitutions for Marcus Freeman's team. Instead of Jordan Faison, the regular punt return, you've got Aeneas Williams back deep. This is a beautiful punt by Stonehouse. Bouncing near the goal line, just getting in. One of the few bright spots for Syracuse. Jeremiah Love's got 3 touchdowns, and when you have a day like this, 171 yards, you're giving not only a little love around the stadium, you're striking the Heisman pose. Notre Dame football being brought to you by City Strata Elite, rewards where it counts. By Allstate, you're in good hands. And by T-Mobile. Good look at some of the Notre Dame players back in their youth football days, including Will Pauling and his shoulder pads, which are a lot bigger then than they are today. Will Pauling had a touchdown catch today, by the way. As you take a look at the quarterback comparison, brought to you by Target. They didn't need a lot of time to get in front of this one. One of the weirdest time of possession comparisons you'll ever see.
Yeah, Syracuse has had the ball for 27 minutes. Notre Dame has had it for 7.
Kenny Minchie is in a quarterback just with about 9:42 left in the third quarter. So Minchie is going to get some good time here to kind of get back in the groove of the Notre Dame offense.
Yeah, and Minchie was very much in the mix for the starting quarterback position all through the spring and through the early part of training camp, and not an easy decision for Marcus Freeman and the staff. They have a lot of confidence in him.
Aeneas Williams also going to get some time back there in the Notre Dame backfield. You would imagine that Love and Price, their night's over.
I think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, I think so too at this stage. Let's see if Minchie can get something going here. First pass incomplete, intended for Micah Gilbert down the sidelines. Yeah, you know, I don't think a lot of people realize, as you alluded to, how close that battle was between C.J. Carr and Minchie. Again, Freeman going with what he said was a gut feeling at the time, and it's turned out to be a pretty good gut feeling because C.J. Carr has been fantastic, which a lot of people thought he would be. But Minchie was so good in that competition, it really fired up both players. And then there was Steve Angeli also in the mix as well, which we documented earlier. When he knew that he wasn't going to be able to compete with those two guys, he transferred. This is Gilbert. And he doesn't get anything there.
Yeah, it was a 3-man race all throughout the spring. And we mentioned earlier, the spring game was so critical. Marcus Freeman wanted to whittle it down to 2. Let 2 guys go to training camp to compete for this position. And that prompted Angeli to leave. But then the competition carried through training camp. And we were here a couple weeks into it, and they were neck and neck. And finally they pulled the trigger and decided that C.J. Carr was going to be the guy. But again, a lot of confidence in Kenny Minchie if something were to happen to C.J.
So the punt here by Rendell. Demetrius Samuel, the 17-year-old freshman who's been the punt returner for Syracuse, faking like he's going to go in there and return it. And Syracuse's latest offensive series will start from there. Gorgeous night here in South Bend. Notre Dame blowout over Syracuse. Join head coach Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish as they chase glory on and off the field in the docuseries Here Come the Irish. It's back for season 2, December 8th only on Peacock. And you'll hear a little more about C.J. Carr and his late little brother Chad on that as well. Part of the Here Come the Irish series, as we talked about the Players Tribune article that C.J. Carr penned earlier. You look at the all-state first down line there that Syracuse is chasing as Tyleik Hill gets the carry. There's a good chance that you might see C.J. Carr at his favorite breakfast spot tomorrow. It's a place called Peg's in downtown South Bend. I finally got a chance to get there this week, Coach, and it is as advertised. Had the Western omelet, opted for the oatmeal on day 2. And as I was in there, Peg was telling me she's been around there for 25 years, owned the place. She says, C.J. Carr is the nicest young man you will ever meet.
Yes. And there's actually a funny story when you were in there the first day, right?
And a handoff here, looking for a hole. Kerr, as we check in with Zora.
Well, Dan, just an injury update. Notre Dame linebacker Kingston Viliamu-Asa will not return to this one. He's out of pads and in a hoodie on the sidelines. He limped off the field toward the end of the second half, spent a few minutes in the medical tent, and then went to the locker room.
That is a concern because Kingston Viliamu-Asa is so good. They ask him to do a lot out there, Coach. And hopefully he'll be 100% for Chris Ash's defense soon.
He is certainly one of their best defensive players, and he said it plays in all the different situations.
So Filardi, who is substituted briefly by Luke Carney, is still in there, throwing away. Darrell Gill makes the catch.
Really good throw and catch out there on the move, and going to be enough for the first down. He's a poised guy. He just needs to play more football under duress. He delivers a strike.
Pretty crazy, Coach. And you think that Filardi began the season 5th on the depth chart behind 5 scholarship quarterbacks. And here he is finding himself as a starting quarterback at Notre Dame Stadium.
Yeah.
He said he always knew that he wanted to be a part of the football team, grew up playing football. But he has become just the 5th player in Syracuse history to play football and lacrosse for the Orange. And when you join the company of the great Jim Brown as a part of those only 5 players to do that, so that's pretty special.
John Mackey, another one.
Filardi's dad walked on the Penn State team, led the team in tackles back in the mid-90s. This one is scooped up by Filardi, and then he throws downfield. Incomplete. 3rd down and 7.
Yeah, you ask people who are lacrosse historians, they say the greatest lacrosse player ever right there, Jim Brown. Put the ball in the net and run up and down the field. And how about this guy, John Mackey, Hall of Fame tight end. So imagine trying to defend those guys in football and then in lacrosse. So high cotton there for Filardi.
Filardi's got a little ways to go before he gets into the Jim Brown territory, but he's trying to make his way as a dual sport athlete. Hard enough to play college sport, one sport, right? Handle all the academics, schedule. But Filardi says he's up to it. On 3rd and 7, and we've got another pick. And this is the latest one by Ethan Long, who joins the parade of pick sixes. We've got a flag back at the 31. Much to the delight of Leonard Moore and company. We'll see what the flag is.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense, number 41, 15-yard penalty.
So that comes back, roughing the passer. The hit on Filardi here. Donovan Heinisch.
Yeah, right down the middle. Heinisch hits him, and maybe one too many steps, and eyeballs on the quarterback. These secondary guys, the safeties for Notre Dame, do a fantastic job reading it.
Ethan Long is thinking he's got the 3rd pick 6 of the game.
And Long taking advantage of his opportunity to get out there and play, but Donovan Heinisch a little too aggressive. Bails Filardi out.
So 1st and 10 now for Syracuse. Threatening at the Notre Dame 42. 43 we'll call it. High snap. Filardi handles it, and then he hands off.
Hey, Hicks, we got to get back to the Peg story.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, two things we can't let go by is the first time you went, but then you went back the next day. So you got a couple nice opportunities over there. But I love the story that Peg was telling you about C.J. Carr. C.J. Carr comes in, he's got 8 women with him.
He's got a big group. You know, we talked to C.J. yesterday. He goes, yeah, those were my cousins. I had a big group.
Sure they were.
But the thing is, you get to Pegs on a Sunday, and the line can be long as Filardi runs this out. Good run by Filardi, close to the 1st down marker. But you kind of make that subtle eye contact C.J. did with Peg inside. The line's like 45 minutes long, so you're thinking, all right, but is it going to be that long for a guy, even like C.J. Carr, with a party of 8?
Yeah, exactly right.
Anyway, she worked it out. Got him in there in 15 minutes or so.
He didn't have to wait 45, but he made it abundantly clear to us that these were his cousins.
Just short of the 1st down for Syracuse on 3rd down. And they've got the 1st down. That was Will Nixon. Again, the son of the offensive coordinator. What's a game like this like? You've got Joe Nixon, the offensive coordinator for Syracuse, coaching his son out there, trying to come up with something here late in the ball game, down 56-0. Can't be a good father-son moment.
Yeah, there's Jeff up there. Jeff, longtime coach, both in college and in the NFL, was with Andy Reid in Philadelphia, Chip Kelly. So experienced guy, but that's his son. Will was a big part of that University of Washington team a couple of years back with Michael Penix.
Yep, they went to the national championship game and lost to Michigan.
Yeah, he's a veteran guy, really knows how to play. He's a smart football player, and with Willis, their leading rusher, out, Nixon getting many more opportunities. His dad dialing his number up.
Yeah, he was 2nd on that team for the Huskies that went to the national championship with Penix as the quarterback. And Will Nixon Played 3 games last season before he injured his foot, so he missed a lot of time last year, so he was anxious to get back this season. 2nd down and 6. Filardi feeling and looking a little bit more comfortable back there, but tough going there. Jonte Cook comes up with a catch from Filardi.
Just throwing the out route. Yeah, I think that's a catch. That right foot was down and looks pretty secure catching it.
Yep, looked pretty good.
Yeah. Again, it's so important just to keep executing and trying to play these plays. A lot of backups in for Notre Dame, and they're getting their opportunity. They've been chomping at the bit to get out there and play. They practice hard all week long, so they can't wait. They're going to try to make a play themselves.
Now, you bet these defensive reserves are going to try to preserve this shutout for the Irish. And close to the 1st down goes Nixon.
And Marcus said it at halftime. Hey, regardless of who's playing, there's a standard. And as a coach, you have to maintain that standard regardless of what's going on in the ball game. And you're constantly evaluating your players. 4th and short here.
Less than a yard. This push trying to get him across.
This is the old right foot, left foot spot. Looks like it's going to be a right foot spot for the official on the opposite side.
You know, Fran Brown has so many of these sayings, right, that he kind of clings to as a coach, and with the culture he's trying to build at Syracuse. As you look at the 1st down by Syracuse, one of the more interesting things that he said earlier in the season, he shared with the press after a loss to Boston College, is that he doesn't shower after losses. He said winners get washed. That's when you just take a shower. Only winners get washed. He says, I just brushed my teeth. I'm mad and I'll wait a little bit. Here's another interception, and here's Ethan Long again. He doesn't take this one to the end zone, but he joins the interception brigade for Chris Ash's defense. Just when you think the Orange got something going, Notre Dame's defense turns it into another turnover. Filardi picked off again. This time Long.
Brought to you by Walmart. This is Ethan Long playing that middle safety. I just want you to watch his eyes. He's looking at Filardi as Filardi drops back and stares left. Long breaks on the ball. Filardi throws it right into his face mask. Notre Dame does an excellent job reading quarterbacks' eyes. We've seen it all day long, and emotional. The freshman getting his first interception as a member of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Yeah, pretty cool on senior day getting it done. And we've got Kenny Menchie on the run into Syracuse territory. That's one of the things he can do, and it's one of the skill sets that he had that made him considered so seriously for a starting job.
This was a big part of the evaluation. Menchie can bring this to the table, a lot like what they had last year with Riley Leonard, and it's just zone read. He fakes it. They want to collapse on the run. He's going to pull the ball and keep it for an explosive run. He's got a little juice out in space. He's going to go talk to Jeremiah Love about how to finish those runs and get in the end zone.
That was a 34-yard run there by Kenny Menchie. And Menchie going to the air, far side, complete at the 40-yard line to Cam Williams getting into the act. So it's a full set of substitutes for Notre Dame as the 3rd quarter comes to a close. Still no score for the Orange, 56-0. Chris Ash's defense has long awakened. Marty Biaggi on special teams. Marcus Freeman, center of it all, head coach. Beautiful scene at Notre Dame Stadium as we get set for the 4th quarter. Today's aerial coverage being brought to you by T-Mobile. Bon Jovi's living on a prayer.
Johnny Bon Jovi, Jersey guy.
Bon Jovi here tonight has witnessed this lopsided Notre Dame victory. Now 56-0 heading in to the final 15 minutes. All the starters out for Notre Dame, obviously. Yeah, they're celebrating big time here on Senior Day. Will this be the final home game for Notre Dame in 2025? That remains to be seen. College football playoff is on the horizon, and whether the Irish get to host remains to be seen. 2nd down and 4 here for Minchie. Aeneas Williams gets the first down for Notre Dame and then some. Aeneas Williams was a pretty big factor last year. Hasn't been as much of a factor this season.
He was really their 3rd down back last year, all throughout it. Price and Love played on the early downs. Price and Love playing a lot more on 3rd down. Aeneas not playing as much, but you can tell how much confidence they do have in him to put him in any situation. Been a productive guy.
Yes. 5'10", 205-pound sophomore in Hannibal, Missouri. Aeneas Williams gets the call again, so he's getting a chance to get some carries here. Jamie Tremble on the coverage. Tackle, I should say, as you look at Jeremiah Love. Season touchdown rushing total. He just keeps adding to it. 3 more today for Jeremiah.
He just went 8 for 171 and 3 touchdowns today, Hicksy. Averaging over 20 yards a touch.
Yep, so he now has 17 rushing touchdowns on the season. He's tied with 4 others for 2nd, so he's just 1 back of Audric Estime's Notre Dame record. So that should be a record you'd think would go to Jeremiah Love. Spinning around was Cam Williams on the Minchie pass, incomplete. So that'll be another record that Love may get before he's done here at Notre Dame.
Yeah, quarterbacks love throwing this ball. It's called an inside fade against press coverage when there's a single high safety in the middle of the field. And I like the location that Minchie put it back away from him, kind of a back shoulder to keep that free safety out of it. Just couldn't finish the play.
C.J. Carr enjoying watching Minchie get some quality playing time here. Aeneas Williams with a big call. Spin move. Looking for first down yardage inside the 10. Aeneas Williams adds to the Notre Dame huge point total. That one for 30 yards.
It's just the same story. They win up front, dominate the line of scrimmage. It's pretty straightforward. He's just downhill at him. Good job by Washington leading up inside, the lateral quickness, but then just the strength, the low center of gravity, spins out of it, and speed enough to capture the edge.
Nice little move here by Williams. Yeah. Like he was down.
He's been watching number 4, hasn't he?
Schmidt to make it 63-0. You know, about the only thing missing from the Notre Dame offensive and defensive scoring attack today is a field goal, right? Haven't made a field goal since the NC State game, week 6. Not like we're begging to see one, but
they've kicked a few extra points, Hicksy.
Been a little bit of an issue. Well, before they were stars in college and the NFL, they were Navy All-Americans. Catch the top high school football players in the country in the 2026 Navy All-American Bowl coming your way January 10th on NBC and Peacock. And some of the Notre Dame players that have played in that game: Emil Wagner, Billy Scrout. In the All-American Bowl, Drake Bowen, Adon Schuler. So you make it to that game, chances are you're going to enjoy a pretty good college career as well. Diametti with a kick for Notre Dame. And Syracuse will set up again at its own 25. Well, we mentioned this playoff run. Last year's playoff run looking a lot similar. Remember, they did get that host role against Indiana. Riley Leonard and company beating the Hoosiers, and then Notre Dame taking on Georgia, getting by the Bulldogs, and then a late field goal gave the Irish the win over Penn State, which set up the national championship appearance against Ohio State. Buckeyes just had too much firepower last year for Marcus Freeman and company, and so in the midst of another playoff run, Notre Dame hoping to go deep again into the playoffs and perhaps go all the way. We'll see. Filardi spinning around. Plenty of time. Now the pocket closes, and he's forced to run it out. Picks up a pretty good gain, though, in the process.
Yeah, if you look at that run that Notre Dame had last year, Indiana, one of the hottest teams in the country, they beat them. And then the Blue Bloods, you go beat Georgia. You go beat Penn State, and finally you run into the buzzsaw that was Ohio State. But it was a heck of a run. You know, we were here for that early season loss to Northern Illinois, but after that, pretty darn impressive by Marcus Freeman and this Notre Dame football team.
Notre Dame, as we sit right now in that 9th seed position in the college football latest bracket, as there's another quarterback change for Syracuse. Luke Carney has replaced Filardi in now with 12:44 left. Carney was in earlier in the game in place of Filardi, and then Joe Lacroski back into the game. Still haven't been able to get on the board, though. We got a timeout. Syracuse using its first. As time now for a Wayfair game break with John Fanta.
Well, Dan and Coach, I think Friday night Texas and Texas A&M is going to be quite the scene because Arch Manning and the Longhorns have handled business against Arkansas to this point. Look at the scramble job, finding DeAndre Moore for the Score Texas up 18. Hey, Dan Hicks, how about the Arizona Wildcats hoops team?
Hey now, John Fanta, you're all over it. Been a good week for the Arizona Wildcats. Got a big victory over Baylor today, the football team. Yeah, they do have a football team, Jason.
How about that?
But the Wildcat basketball team off to a sensational start. But enough about the Wildcats. Marcus Freeman on this latest run for another college football playoff run. Pretty impressive. It looked pretty dismal at the start, an 0-2 start. So they have been playing with that kind of pressure since the middle of September. Cannot afford a single hiccup on the schedule, and they've not only been winning, but winning convincingly. As we check out this bracket that I alluded to, Notre Dame, if it was played right now, this would be the way it would set up. Notre Dame would take on Oklahoma. Of course, a lot of this can change, and you've got the 4 teams over on the right side with a bye, and all of them winning. Georgia, Ohio State, Texas A&M a big winner today. Alabama wins, so no real upsets of any kind to kind of shake that up too much.
Yeah, a lot of football to be played, and any of those guys have hiccups down the stretch on the right side, there becomes opportunity. But you know, if you follow this thing, those brackets to me are set up pretty well. They're pretty accurate. And in regards to Notre Dame, after the 2 tough losses early on in the season, they've been awfully impressive.
2 plays began their shift were not set before the ball was snapped. It's a 5-yard penalty. First down.
8 straight wins. They've been winning by more than 3 touchdowns a game. 63-0 today. So they've done everything they need to do to show the decision makers we belong in this thing.
And of course, there'll be a lot of chit chat. There's been a lot of talk about, well, what about Miami? They're ranked behind Notre Dame right now.
And
they beat Notre Dame. But I think what holds true and what is held true in whatever format it is if you're going to lose early, right, Coach? Here's Carney going down, get another sack for the Notre Dame defense as we check in with Zora.
Dan, just to continue the playoff conversation, Drake Bowen told me that the team hasn't really talked about the possibility of the playoffs at all. He said, you know it's close, but if you have a slip-up, those things are out the window. That's just how it is. Bowen added, for us, we're taking it one day at a time. Guys, that mentality is working.
And they've got one more regular season game left, Zora. They've got Stanford next week at Stanford. Stanford having a tough season. Cardinal at 3-7. Cardinal will be playing Cal tonight in the big game a little bit later on. Here's Carney on the mark. Nice pass as he threads it in there. Complete to Bellari.
But you talk about the role of head coaches, talked about the leadership part of it, but it's also the mentality part. When you hear a guy like Drake Bowen and some of the other leaders at Notre Dame always talking about this play, focus on this day, focus on this game, those things are out of our control. That messaging is coming from their head coach on a daily basis, and these guys have bought in, and it's a big reason why they've been on this 8-game, soon-to-be 9-game win streak.
4th down and 4. This is Carney trying to make something out of it, and Notre Dame's going to take over on downs. Madden Faramo chasing down Luke Carney. It's a 14th Notre Dame tackle for a loss. The record is 15.
Welcome back into Notre Notre Dame football here on NBC. Let's go back to last week. Coach Freeman's oldest son, Vinny, signing his letter of intent to wrestle at Cornell next year. Coach told me he's so grateful for Notre Dame because it's allowed Vinny to see what a school can do for you beyond football, or in his case, beyond wrestling. Coach said, my son sees the world in a different light than I did at his age. He said, I'm forever indebted to Notre Dame because it's helped me lead my children. Guys?
And you know, Zora, when you asked him about it in our meeting, Marcus Freeman teared up a little bit because you could tell how much it meant to him that he had developed his son into making that kind of really educated decision. You could see it in Marcus Freeman's eyes how proud he was of his son.
Yeah, just that impact that Notre Dame has had on their family and how much they value education. And he said he made that decision probably because of his exposure to this Notre Dame community and how much Marcus has emphasized education to all the players, and these are 40-year decisions that you make. And he said Vinny gravitated toward the opportunity at Cornell and embraced it. Emotional time for their family.
Yeah, you got all this other stuff going on, right? The real life stuff, family stuff going on amid all this stuff that Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame, has to juggle. And that pass complete to Leo Scheidler, wide receiver, getting some action and a gain of 7. So
stretching out.
Who knows who we're going to see here in the box score by the end of this one. Brother Eddie was part of the Notre Dame team years ago. So appropriate that Leo gets in the act here on senior day. 3rd and 4 for Kenny Menchie, who's been in the quarterback for C.J. Carr most of the second half. And that is Nolan James, the freshman from Westwood, New Jersey, who we saw earlier in the season. Saw him get some chances, and Notre Dame excited about Nolan James. In the words of Marcus Freeman, he was saying that Nolan James is a special kind of player.
Sure is. He's a physical guy, low center of gravity. You saw a little bit of that right there. But again, I keep using this word opportunity. These guys are getting their chance. They're getting their opportunity to show Marcus and the staff that, hey, I belong here. I deserve some more chances. And it's fun time. Here we go. 4th down. Let's see what Minchie's got for us.
I can't help but think about what we were talking about, Coach, earlier. Low snap from Minchie, who runs in to Nolan James and now has to throw it. And the pass is complete to Scheidler for the 1st down. We were mentioning that Notre Dame has been without a field goal for, I don't know, a month and a half now. And you said maybe Eric Schmidt, Notre Dame, just needs to see a ball go through the uprights at some point. That's been an issue for Notre Dame.
There is no question. And the dream scenario is you bog down on about the 8-yard line going in, and you kick a field goal, and he gets one under his belt. And, you know, they're 5 for 9 this year. 3 of the 4 misses are in the 30-yard range. So, you know, it's going to be an issue for them down the stretch if they don't get that thing squared away.
You know, these games, tight ones, it really matters to have a field goal kicker who is clutch. And Eric Schmidt is the only healthy guy right now as James gets dragged down there. And Schmidt has yet to make a field goal in college. Noah Burnett started off as the place kicker and the field goal kicker, but he's been nursing a season-long hip injury that has forced him out of the past couple of games. And Eric Schmidt, who was a decorated high school kicker out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, has just attempted 3 field goals in his early college career, but he's missed from 31, 35. He missed a 46-yarder against Pitt last week. So sooner or later, these games come down to clutch kicking. So we'll see if that ends up being a factor down the road.
And it's going to be a factor. This is a big deal now. I mean, Notre Dame has been on quite a run here. This will be their 9th win where they're blowing people out. Stanford next week, you would anticipate somewhat of a similar result. But once you get in those college football playoffs, the 11 other teams are the best teams in the country. And you're going to play close games, and you better be able to kick field goals to the uprights in big moments.
So I know it's 63-0, and you do not want to pile on. But having said that, you just want to get Trot Schmidt out there, and they don't pick up this.
I would absolutely kick a field goal.
First down, get a field goal and see a ball go through the uprights.
No question.
Here's Minchie. Quarterback run. He's going to get the 1st down, and he might get to the end zone. Touchdown, Minchie.
Looks like it might be another extra point.
Just when we thought we might see the first field goal in a while, Minchie scrambles 25 yards for the score.
And this is what Kenny Minchie brings to the table. A lot like Riley Leonard last year. You get in these situations, 3rd and 4th down. The legs come alive. It's quarterback draw, good patience. You see the burst across the line of scrimmage. No orangeman left. Finds the perimeter and finds pay dirt.
First touchdown for Kenny Minchie. Redshirt sophomore from Hendersonville, Tennessee, gets on the board. Schmidt has been rock solid with the extra points.
He sure has.
We have reached 70. We've got another historic mark to talk to you about when we come back.
John Thayer checking back in with a Wayfair game break. Back to Eugene, top 15 showdown. USC down 2 scores. Jaden Mayaba to Lemon again. Makai Lemon has thrown for a touchdown. He's received 2, but the Trojans still down 7.
Thank you, John. 70-0 here. The last time Notre Dame scored 70 points, October of 1932, where they beat Haskell 73-0. Syracuse is on the verge of its worst loss in its school's history. And Syracuse has been playing football since 1889. That is how crazy this game has been for Fran Brown and company. Most points scored at Notre Dame Stadium, that's 73 that we talked about, against Haskell in 1932. 70 here, second most at Notre Dame Stadium by a Notre Dame football team.
You know, I went back and watched the Haskell tape before this game. They really weren't setting the edge. The runners were getting to the perimeter too easily.
Can you give me the quick depth chart of defensive tackle for Haskell? I mean, it was just an avalanche at the start for Fran Brown. I mean, it was just, it couldn't have been a bigger nightmare. Stroman had a pick 6. Then Stroman blocked a punt that Luke Talmadge took in for a touchdown. And then 5 minutes and 17 seconds in, Leonard Moore had a pick 6 to make it 21-0. Jeremiah Love got into the act. It was 35-zip at half before Fran Brown and company knew it hit him. Filardi giving it to Davion Kerr.
You know, when you're a lesser team, you come into this environment, you say to yourself as a coach, hey, if we can intercept the ball, if we can get a miscellaneous, if we could block a punt. But when you're a lesser team coming into this environment and you're giving up all of those plays early on in the ball game, you have no chance, as we've seen today.
Fran Brown's season will come to an end at Boston when they host Boston College next. But they'll be riding a 7-game losing streak when they do. And Syracuse, even though they were outmanned this week, they had higher expectations coming off a bye week. This is Filardi with flags coming in, looking for John Tay Cook down the sideline.
We got a flag down here. I think it's going to be pass interference.
Pass interference, defense number 20. 15-yard penalty automatic, first down.
That's Cree Thomas, the freshman out of Phoenix, Arizona, getting called for the penalty.
Actually did a good job at the line of scrimmage and pushing him wide, but just too much contact and too much grabbing as the route unfolded.
You know, one other note we didn't mention, Jaden Greathouse, who had that sensational end of the season in the playoffs last year for Notre Dame, was available this game. And we talked to Marcus Freeman yesterday. He said, probably not. They made a decision after he talked with his mom and Jaden Greathouse that the best decision was to preserve the red shirt for Greathouse. He's played the 4 games. If you play another game, you don't have it anymore. And he said, yeah, if you got into an emergency situation where we really needed Greathouse to help us win a football game, yeah, that's a different story, but they haven't gone into that territory.
Yeah, he hurt the hamstring initially, and then a couple weeks later he comes back and he tweaks it again. So it's just been one of those things that's lingered. And again, for a guy like that to be able to preserve that year of eligibility, good for him and good for the Irish.
And it speaks again to the Irish depth, especially at wide receiver. Speaking of wide receivers, that's a nice grab there by Darian Williams. Another one of those freshmen. You are seeing a lot of freshmen. It's not just because we're late in the game and Syracuse is getting blown out. Fran Brown made that decision. He had 4 freshmen serve as the team captains last week against Miami. He had 2 more freshmen act as captains this week, and it's a nod to the future. He says we're putting guys in situations right now because we're building for the future. This is Tyreek Hill, who's a part of that future, just a freshman, 5'9", 205 pounds.
Tyreek is from Asbury Park, New Jersey, the home of the great Bruce Springsteen. I don't know if you knew that, Hicksy.
I do now. I did know that, though. I did know that.
Yeah, Bruce is actually from Freehold, but made his name down there in Asbury Park. But a lot of freshmen, Tyreek, somebody they're excited about, trying to get him some opportunities here late.
Inside 3 minutes in a 70-0 game, Syracuse hoping, praying that maybe they can get on the board here before 60 minutes of football is out.
Yeah, you're just looking for something to build on as this game ends, and it's been a mismatch right from the start. Notre Dame has done everything they've needed to do to win this game right from play one. You take the ball away and you score touchdowns, and you block punts and you score touchdowns. It's been a dominant performance for anybody watching, and for Syracuse, they have a long way to go, but they feel good about the young core of players that they do have.
Worst loss in Syracuse history is 62-0 to Virginia Tech in 1999. This is stacking up to be the worst. And that should be the last play before the 2-minute timeout. First trip to the red zone today for Syracuse. But can the Orange capitalize and get out of a goose egg? We got a big triple header today. Coming up Big Ten Saturday night, Nebraska and Penn State next on NBC and Peacock. Here comes Saturday night, presented by Discover. Interesting thing you brought up the other day, Coach. You said that had Al Golden stayed here as the defensive coordinator for Notre Dame, he would be the new head coach of Penn State after James Franklin was let go. I thought that was pretty spot on.
You know, I believe that. You know, the job that Al Golden did here at Notre Dame completely transformed this defense over his time. Defense was one of the best units in the country last year. Goes to Cincinnati, defensive coordinator there, the Cincinnati Bengals. They've really struggled on defense, but if he's part of this team right now, again, in the national conversation, a guy like that with head coaching experience turned a program around at Temple, I think he'd be in that conversation. He's a graduate of Penn State. He played there. He coached there. He was a captain. I think it's a great fit.
Yeah, it makes great sense, but how quickly things can change when they don't go quite that way. Tackle behind the line of scrimmage is Malachi Coleman. And Notre Dame has just set a new record for tackles for losses in a game with 16.
Yeah, and give that guy credit right there, Chris Ash. We talked about it earlier, the rough start that he had here, but he's done a fantastic job. And I love what he said to us the other day. You have to forget about 2024. This defense has to establish its own identity, and he's been the leader of that, along with that guy, Marcus Freeman. And a lot of the veteran players on this defense grasp that message, and they're playing defense as well as anybody in the country right now.
Yeah, let's not forget the sky was kind of falling.
Sure
Notre
was.
Dame fans were concerned. They thought this defense was never going to wake up. Here's Syracuse trying to get on the board in the final seconds. Velarde stops the clock at 28 seconds to go with a gain of 9. First and goal for Syracuse. So the only suspense we have right now is, can Syracuse score a point?
The clock is ticking.
Velarde to the end zone. Incomplete. Second and goal. 11 seconds left.
Cree Thomas one more time. Knocking the ball out.
Intended for Jalen Hornsby. Good play by the freshman. Can Velarde and Syracuse and Fran Brown get on the board? We know what the fans who are still here are hoping. Here's Velarde with the keeper, and Syracuse has scored with 7 seconds left.
Hey, credit those guys. You just keep playing, you keep fighting, you keep battling. You say don't look at the scoreboard. If you do look up, you're down 70 points. Record-breaking day for Notre Dame, but they just kept battling. Good for Velarde, getting it across the end zone.
Still is going to be the worst loss in Syracuse history, even with the extra point here. It's 70-7.
You telling me Haskell's going to stay in the number one spot?
I'm telling you, we're not. Haskell is not moving aside. Extra point is good. And the touchdown by Joe Velarde, who looked a little bit like the lacrosse player scrambling out here to the right.
He sure did. This is zone read. Watch 33. He collapses down, capture the edge, and go run it in. He's got a little something to him, a little gumption, a little moxie, showing it there.
Have not seen Ricky Collins tonight. Will not see Ricky Collins tonight. The guy that backed up Steve Angeli when Angeli got hurt. But Fran Brown has said, hey, you know, next year we got to find a quarterback, a backup quarterback to Angeli. You're never sure how Angeli's going to be when he comes back from that Achilles injury, but they expect and hope that he's 100%. But
no doubt, it's a little bit like the NFL. You know, you have an opportunity to go get a young guy coming out of high school, or you go to free agency, if you will, and you go to the transfer portal. And, you know, that's what they have to do. There's certainly a number of needs on Syracuse's team, that being high on Fran's list.
That's the forte, though, of Fran Brown, right? I mean, he can recruit. He can sell kids on his program. But it was all Notre Dame tonight. 9 straight victories for the Irish. And I know Notre Dame fans aren't too thrilled about a 10:30 Eastern Time kickoff at Stanford next week, but that is going to stop the clock with 4 seconds to go.
Seems like we talk to Marcus Freeman every week about human nature, and you know, Syracuse has lost 6 games in a row, and how do you make sure your guys stay focused and prepare the right way? Well, whatever he told them, they listened and responded the right way. This has been a masterful performance. They're a better football team than Syracuse, but they showed it from play 1.
Tyler Buckner takes the final knee. He gets into the act. Everybody a part of a big win for Notre Dame, 70-7. And some more hugs coming Steve Angeli's way for sure.
A lot of mutual respect on both sides for Angeli and him for his place and his experience here. Bright future for that guy. He'll be back.
Zora with Coach Freeman.
Coach, the last time Notre Dame scored 70 points, 1932. At the half, you told me you've never been a part of a game where defense and special teams scored the first 21 points. What stood out the most about this dominant performance?
Well, I mean, the stuff that happened early in the game was kind of, again, I haven't seen something like that, but I was really proud of the way they came out in the second half. And, you know, long run by Jay Love, the defense turnover on down, 3 and out. I really appreciate the way they came out the second half with their mindset to play to the standard that's been set. And it was good to get some younger guys in there, man, and play hard.
Let's go big picture now. 9 wins in a row. With the way that the year started, how is this group taking control of its season?
Well, I think you use the lessons that the first 2 losses have taught you. And I often say, yeah, there's always tactical lessons you learn through wins and losses, but it's the inside lessons sometimes you got to figure out. And I'm just proud of the way this group stayed together and they worked and they're focused on the moment. We'll worry about what's after today and next week. We'll worry about that in the future. But we're going to celebrate tonight for senior night, and we'll get ready for this next one.
Yeah, what a senior day. Congrats, Coach. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Touching scene here. All of the Notre Dame players, I mean a bunch of players, waiting to embrace Steve Angeli, knowing what he's been through, being a part of this Notre Dame football program. Blood, sweat, and tears here in South Bend for years. The transfer to Syracuse, the unfortunate injury for Angeli. Last thing he wanted to do was come back here and not be able to play.
Yeah, the bonds formed through shared commitment. They went through a lot together. They'll have those bonds for life.
Good stuff. Alma mater time. And with that, it puts the wraps on a Notre Dame home football season on NBC. Jason Garrett, enjoyed it, pal.
Thank you, Hicksy. You're the best, man.
Zora Stevenson as well. Great work all through the year on the sidelines for us as C.J. Carr and company win their 9th straight. Next up, Stanford, the final game of the regular season on Notre Dame's 25 schedule. So, thanks for watching another season of Notre Dame football on NBC, presented by Citi. Coming up after the break, it's Big Ten College Countdown, leading up to Nebraska and Penn State on Big Ten Saturday night. Once again, for Zora, Jason, our entire crew, Dan Hick saying so long from South Bend.